very interesting and significant lawsuit has been filed against Spotify, and it could have major implications on the music industry. Now, we know that artists have become increasingly reliant on streaming as it's pretty much the primary form of consumption in music now. Obviously, people are streaming nonstop. It's so convenient. You don't have to take a CD and open the plastic and then open the CD case and then put it in the CD player. You can just pull your phone out of your pocket and pretty much pull up any artist you want to listen to. Me, I still am kind of partial to the CD era. I've kind of gotten a little bit into vinyl. But overall, I want to listen to an album. I've got my headphones, I've got my iPhone, and I can just start playing the album. Now, this lawsuit alleges that Spotify is intentionally looking the other way while one of the biggest artists, Drake, is allegedly getting billions of fake streams. Now, they claim there's a vast network of bots involving how streams are counted on Spotify, and they explain what they claim is a scheme Spotify is involved in to actually dilute the payouts to pretty much all of the artists on Spotify. And it has to do with an overall, let's say, a pot of money, the funds that are included from subscriptions. And from that monetary amount, you're paid based on what percentage of streams you had. So imagine if one of the top artists had a massively inflated, insurmountable number, and they end up getting, or their label ends up getting, a massive payout. Potentially their label could be a business partner of Spotify, and you could have a major issue on your hands. Now, Spotify has just responded to this as well, and while this story involves Drake and hip-hop, this is something that could affect all artists. We've seen also in recent years that lawsuit filed by Limp Bizkit against their label, where they allege that there were issues with accounting. That matter still remains ongoing. But here's what we know about this very interesting lawsuit just filed against Spotify. The brand new high-stakes lawsuit just landed, and it claims that billions, with a B, of Drake's streams aren't from real fans. The lawsuit alleges it's all mass-scale fraudulent streaming, and it accuses Spotify of knowing all about it and turning a blind eye while legit artists get financially screwed. Now, the man involved in the suit is a West Coast hip-hop veteran named RBX. He's actually Snoop Dogg's cousin and was featured on Dr. Dre's iconic album, The Chronic. RBX just filed a massive class action lawsuit in California's district court. But here's the first major twist. Drake is not being sued himself as part of this situation. The lawsuit names only Spotify as the defendant. RBX and the other artists in the suit are accusing Spotify of failing to stop and even benefiting from this alleged stream fraud. Now, the suit claims this practice causes, quote, massive financial harm to all other legitimate artists, songwriters, and producers. And this is all part, as I mentioned, of that stream share model, how they pay the artists and producers. Basically, all the money from subscriptions and ads goes into that giant pool. Spotify divides that pool based on each artist's percentage of the total streams. And let's just keep it simple. Let's say the pool is $1 billion and Drake's music accounts for 10% of all streams on the platform. He and his label get 10% of the pool, or $100 million, just for hypothetical sake. But if this lawsuit is right and a substantial chunk of those streams are fake bots, then Drake's real share should have been a smaller number. And so that extra money he was paid doesn't just come from Spotify. It would come directly out of the pockets of every other artist. If the biggest artist's share is artificially inflated, everyone else's slice of the pie gets smaller. The lawsuit gets very specific with the claims against Drake's numbers. It alleges that a, quote, substantial non-trivial percentage of Drake's approximately 37 billion streams between January 2022 and September 2025 were inauthentic and appeared to be the work of a sprawling network of bot accounts. The suit claims there's voluminous information to prove it, pointing to things like, quote, abnormal VPN usage to hide where the bot streams were coming down. And with that, I would like to thank our sponsor no, I'm just kidding. It gives one wild example. Over just a 4-day period in 2024, at least 250,000 streams of Drake's song No Face came from Turkey, but were, quote, falsely geo-mapped through the coordinated use of VPNs to the United Kingdom in an attempt to obscure their origins. The complaint also alleges that a large percentage of accounts streaming Drake's music were concentrated in areas, quote, whose population could not support that high volume, with some streams reportedly coming from locations with 0 residential addresses. So this is interesting. They're really taking kind of an IT approach from this and coming in with some data. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. The suit also points to significant and irregular uptick months for Drake's songs long after they should have faded, and slower and less dramatic decay rates compared to his contemporaries. But this might be the craziest allegation. The lawsuit claims, quote, a massive amount of accounts were listening to Drake's music 23 hours a day. It claims that less than 2% of these users accounted for roughly 15% of Drake's total streaming, which is a staggering number of streams. So the big question is Spotify actually letting this happen? And if so, why? The lawsuit has a claim for that too. It alleges Spotify, quote, deliberately turns a blind eye for its own benefit. It points to Spotify's ad-supported free tier, where bots can easily create millions of fake accounts without needing a credit card. The suit claims that by letting bots run wild, Spotify can present, quote, high stream and user activity numbers to its advertisers. The complaint states, quote, for Spotify, more users and music streams means more advertising dollars, so long as the true origin of the streams remains hidden. And now Spotify has just responded to this situation in a statement released to Rolling Stone. They said the following. The statement reads, we cannot comment on pending litigation. However, Spotify in no way benefits from the industry-wide challenge of artificial streaming. We heavily invest in always improving best-in-class systems to combat it and safeguard artist payouts with strong protections like removing fake streams, withholding royalties, and charging penalties. Our systems are working. In a case from last year, one bad actor was indicted for stealing $10 million from streaming services, only $60,000 of which came from Spotify, proving how effective we are at limiting the impact of artificial streaming on our platform. And Spotify even has a resource page on their website dedicated to the issue of artificial streaming. Now, this is a pretty ironic situation because Drake is being accused of benefiting from bots just weeks after a judge threw out his own lawsuit where he himself accused Kendrick Lamar of doing the exact same thing. Seemingly, there are a lot of artists that are concerned about this issue. Drake actually would sue Universal Music Group, claiming the label had used bots to, quote, artificially inflate the popularity of Kendrick's diss song against him called Not Like Us. A judge later summarily dismissed Drake's case, and she ruled that his evidence, which included tweets, was insufficient to meet the standard of proof. Now, the class action lawsuit from RBX is seeking damages in excess of $5 million, though the real number, if their lawsuit was successful, would likely be hundreds of millions, and they're asking for a full jury trial. His attorney said, quote, when streams are artificially inflated on a large scale, it affects the income of countless songwriters, performers, and producers. It's going to be really interesting seeing how this lawsuit plays out. It sounds like they have some sort of data that they're pointing to, talking about the geolocations of where the streams were coming from. I thought the part there where they claimed they could show that many of the streams were coming from places where residences weren't even there was also pretty interesting. We're going to be watching this situation closely. Let me know what you all think about this down in the comments. And as always, be sure to subscribe with notifications on for the latest news and updates.